From the rising crime rate to the homelessness that's going on around downtown and other parts of the city, in this video we're going to delve deep into some of the aspects that a lot of people that don't live in San Diego tend to underestimate, or they just don't even know about. This is an honest discussion about the things that not a lot of people like about living here in San Diego, and if you're planning to move here, you might not want to do it just yet. Welcome to Living in San Diego, California. If you or anyone you know are planning to move here, this is the resource for everything that has to do with San Diego. My name is Rafael Cuadras. I'm a San Diego native. I'm also a veteran of the Marine Corps. I've been living here for the last 32 years on and off. I did go to college in Los Angeles and then went to work for the government up in Northern California, so not quite my whole life, but I'll share with you throughout this journey together, if you're planning to move here, all the hidden gems, yes, but also the truths about living in San Diego, California, which is what we're doing right now in this video. As you may know, San Diego has one of the best weathers in the whole country. It's almost always sunny in San Diego. There are a lot of outdoor activities to do. You can go out to the bay, you can swim in the ocean, you can go surfing. A lot of people love doing that. You can go out hiking if you are into it, or even cycling if you rather do that. But there are other things that people tend to ignore when they are faced with the decision of moving to San Diego or staying back home, whether you're from Florida, you're from Texas, you're from Oklahoma, from New York. I know a lot of people are moving out here. Some of you because you chose to do it. Other people are moving out here because of the orders that they gave you in the military. Homelessness. Homelessness is something that has been affecting San Diego for, I would say, like the last 6 to 7 years. Before that, I didn't notice homeless people living as prominently as they're doing under the bridges and sometimes over the bridges in some of the streets near San Diego, near downtown San Diego. Another big issue is that these homeless communities have also migrated to other areas around downtown. So if you go to North Park, for example, or Hillcrest, you'll notice that homeless are also setting up their camps, they're setting up their communities. And even though some of these homeless people might have mental health issues, some of them are also addicted to drugs. Some of them are recurring to crime in order to be able to make ends meet. And this is where it clashes with the people that are living in these communities. I don't have anything against homeless people. In fact, I believe that the government and the community should be doing something to address this. But in the last few years, it's just gotten really out of hand, to the point that we're starting to see something very similar to a Skid Row in Los Angeles near downtown San Diego, where they are not allowed, or no one has even attempted to get them out of there. So they've created these super intricate and big complex networks of houses and tents. And some of these are very big, as opposed to in the past where we only saw someone who would sleep in their sleeping bag, or they would sleep in a small tent near a store just to grab some shelter from the weather conditions. It's gotten really out of hand. The Downtown San Diego Partnership, which is an organization that helps with these social issues, and they also help promote downtown and its businesses, put out a report that says that in November of 2021, there were about 1,100 people without a home living in the streets of downtown San Diego. And right now it's 2023, and that number has risen to 3,500 people who are living in our streets. So as you can imagine, this has also put a lot of worry into businesses that are conducting their sales and their business downtown, because if you have people right at your doorstep that tend to scare customers away, or tend to give you an image in the eyes of people interested in your business that might not be the most favorable one, then this is going to drive a lot of businesses out of San Diego. In fact, I have a client in my main business, which is an advertising agency, that just moved her whole clinic from downtown San Diego to Mission Valley because the homeless were just out of control, harassing some of her customers. People who were stepping out of their vehicles got engaged by some of these people, and it wasn't the most comfortable thing. Started complaining to my friend, my client, and after that, people just started not wanting to go and get work done with her, so she had to move her whole business to Mission Valley. She's not the only one. There are a lot of people out in downtown San Diego who have paid a lot of money for their apartments or for their homes, and they're having to face these issues in their day-to-day life. The second issue that we'll talk about is income inequality, because you have these pockets in San Diego, especially up in North County or in Coronado, that are extremely wealthy. People living in these places are definitely in the 1% of American citizens, and how much they earn is definitely different than other areas in San Diego, for example, National City or Barrio Logan. In fact, the neighborhoods all south of State Route 94, which include Barrio Logan, Logan Heights, Sherman Heights, Grand Hills, Stockton, Lincoln Park, Mountain View, South Crest, Choyas View, and Emerald Hills. All these communities form part of the 22 areas nationwide recognized by the federal government as low income and in need of economic investment. These promise zones are areas in usually urban settlements, urban cities, which tend to have a lower income than the national average. So if you keep that in mind, maybe you want to go ahead and consider that people will be interacting from high income areas with people in low income areas, and this might create a clash both in culture but also create a lot of other social issues. While some people in San Diego have great jobs and are making more than 6 figures yearly, some other people in San Diego are making less. Some of these areas have a higher crime rate than others, while in North County or in Coronado, police are always on top of things and making sure that it's safe. Income inequality also is created by this dynamic between the border town in Tijuana, the city of San Diego, or the city of Chula Vista, the city of San Isidro, that are closer to the border. A lot of people come in to San Diego and they work in San Diego and then they leave. So you're not necessarily seeing much of that income being left in San Diego from the people who work in San Diego, because they take it to Mexico. So there are a lot of dynamics economically that are playing part in the life of people who live in San Diego. So that's one of the bigger issues. Definitely homelessness, I think, ranks first for most people who live here. But second, income inequality is also an issue that people mention. Thirdly, I'm going to talk about an issue that might not be the biggest issue. That's why it's in number 3, but it's the environmental impact that the water shortage plays in what people living in San Diego have to face in their day-to-day lives. For a while, we had a water scarcity, a drought in California. It wasn't only hitting San Diego, but it was hitting most cities in California, because there's really no natural reservoir or natural way of getting water. We have to get our water transported from different parts of California so it reaches San Diego and we're able to enjoy the natural resource. So there's also a way of getting water from the ocean. So there's a desalination plant in Carlsbad that helps to mitigate the risk of not having enough water. But ultimately, it is an issue that has to be faced and that some people might tend to ignore, which is why sometimes water might be more expensive in San Diego than other areas in the country or other areas in California. So definitely keep that in mind, because if you're coming from areas in the country like Texas or like Florida, where there might be a lot of water, a lot of rain coming in, and a lot of ways to turn that rainwater into water that we can use in our homes, you might be paying less for water than what we're used to paying here in San Diego. So just keep that in mind, because it places a huge shock in people's minds when they come here, and it goes from $50, what they were paying in some other area of the country, to $100 or $150, which is what usually people have to pay here in San Diego. Another big thing, and before I forget, is the issue of paying a lot for your energy bill. If your energy bill is relatively low in other areas of the country or even other areas in California, once you get to San Diego, you'll notice how expensive it can get. SDG&E has been making a lot of changes throughout the years, and I do remember when I was younger that it used to be less expensive. Obviously, everything used to be less expensive, but relatively to what people were making, you could pay your energy bill and it wasn't a huge issue at all. But for example, I have a friend who just bought a house, 4-bedroom house in Chula Vista. He pays around $600, $650 a month in his energy bill. So keep that in mind, because if you come to San Diego, you might face these expensive bills for energy, for water, for gas, as opposed to other areas in the country. So that's also another thing that keeps being the common denominator. More expensive things that tend to be more expensive here than other areas in the country. But there's a pro and a con, right? You might pay a little bit more for things, but you'll enjoy the quality of life that a lot of people can have in other areas of the country. First of all, the coastline. You can be in the ocean within 10 to 15 minutes if you live really close to a beach. The beaches are cool. The beaches are well kept. The beaches are clean. And that's something that you might not be able to do in the middle of the country. Keep that in mind. You travel here, you're going to see a lot of expensive prices, and then you go home and you're good. But once you move here, you're faced with that every single day, and there's no running away from these expensive prices. Expensive groceries, expensive entertainment events, expensive parking, expensive gas. Be prepared to be able to shell out more dollars than what you used to in another part of the country if you move here to San Diego. And last but not least, we have the issue of the California state taxes. This is something that doesn't happen in states like Texas or like Florida because they don't have any state taxes. So once you get here, keep in mind that this is going to be an additional expense with your federal income tax. You're also going to have to pay your state taxes in California. People have fled the state because of that. I do understand that there's been a massive migration of people who are natives of California moving to places like Texas and Florida. But there's still a lot of people who are moving into California and have to face that fact. If you are part of that group of people coming from other states, coming from other cities into San Diego, California, we want to help you out. We help a lot of people find their home in California, find the right house, find the right neighborhood, and all the questions that you might have if you're thinking about moving here. Put the questions in the comments below and we'll be able to reply to them directly, or you can text us, you can email us, and you can find all that information in the description below.